The first book of the Walled Garden of Truth by Sanai, in the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. O you who nurture the intellect, beautify the body, grant wisdom, and show mercy to the foolish, creator and sustainer of the earth and time, protector of dwellers and dwellings, both the dwelling and the dweller are your creations, time and earth are under your command. Fire, wind, water, and solid ground all obey your omnipotence, O ineffable one. From your throne to the earth, everything is a fragment of your creation. The living intellect is your swift messenger. Every tongue in our mouths has life for the purpose of praising you. Your great and sacred names are evidence of your grace, benevolence, and mercy. Each of your names is greater than heaven, earth, and angels. There are 1,001 names, yet they are also 99. Each name is linked to one of humanity's needs, but those not privy to your secrets remain excluded. O Lord, by your grace and compassion, grant this heart and soul a glimpse of your name. Both faith and disbelief travel your path, proclaiming, He is alone, He has no partner. You are the Creator, the benevolent, the powerful. You are the One, the omnipotent, incomparable to us. You are the living, the eternal, the all-knowing, the mighty, the nourisher of creation, the conqueror, and the forgiver. You set things in motion and bring them to rest. You are alone and have no partner. Whatever fundamental existence you attribute to anything, you declare it, your partner. Beware. Our frailty demonstrates your perfection. Your omnipotence embodies your names. Both yes and no return from that abode of happiness empty-handed. Beyond imagination, reason, perception, and thought lies the understanding possessed only by those who truly know you. To them, wherever they are, your throne is like a carpet beneath their feet. The discerning soul knows that praising anything other than the Creator is folly. He who can create the body from the earth and make the wind carry speech, the giver of intellect, the inspirer of hearts, the summoner of the soul, the creator of causes, generation, and corruption, all are your work. You are the source of all creation, the destination to which it returns. All originates from you and all returns to you. Good and evil all emanates from you. You create the free will of both the righteous and the wicked. You are the author of the soul and the originator of wisdom. You created something from nothing. We were insignificant, and you elevated us. No mind can grasp your essence. Reason and soul cannot fathom your perfection. The mind of intelligence is dazzled by your majesty, and the soul's eye is blinded by your perfection. The primal intelligence is a creation of your nature, admitted to a knowledge of itself by your will. Imagination falters before the splendor of your essence, and understanding is confounded by the nature of your being. Your fire, which you made your carpet in haughtiness, burned the wing of reason. The soul serves in your procession, and reason is a novice in your school. What is reason in this guest house but a scribe scribbling the script of God, crooked as it may be? And what of this intelligence stirring up trifles? What of this ever-changing and inconsistent nature? Only when you show the way to yourself does intelligence offer fitting praise. Since intelligence was the first creation, it holds the highest place. Yet intelligence, like us, is bewildered on the path to understanding your nature. Your essence is the intelligence of intelligence, and your soul is the soul of the soul. What lies beyond that? You are that too. Without your guidance, how can reason, soul, and senses hope to know you? But you show them the way. Otherwise, how could humanity ever grasp divinity? No one can know you through themselves. Knowledge of your nature can only come through you. Reason sought your truth, but did not proceed well. Impotence hastened along your path and recognized you. Your mercy said, "Know me," for how could anyone, through reason and senses alone, know you? How could the senses guide anyone to you? How can a nut securely rest on the pinnacle of a dome? Reason may guide you, but only to the door. Your grace must carry you to yourself. You cannot reach there through reason's guidance. It is futile, like those who persist in foolishness. Your grace leads us on this path. Your works are both guides and witnesses to you. O you who cannot fully know your own nature, how will you ever comprehend the omnipotent? Since you are incapable of knowing yourself, how can you become a knower of the Almighty? You are unacquainted with the first steps toward knowing Him. How can you hope to understand Him as He truly is? Describing you in arguments is like making comparisons, and silence is a failure in duty. Reason's highest achievement on your path is amazement, and the riches of the people are their zeal for you. Imagination falls short of your attributes. Understanding boasts in vain. Prophets are bewildered by your sayings, and saints are stupefied by your attributes. You are the desired and the Lord of both reason and soul, the goal of disciples and devotees. Reason serves as a guide to your existence. All other existences are beneath your existence. Your acts are not confined to inside and outside. Your essence transcends how and why. Intelligence cannot grasp your essence, and reason and heart are dust upon this path. Reason, without the collyrium of friendship with you, cannot truly know your divinity. Why do you provoke imagination to discuss you? How can a novice speak of the eternal? By reason, thought, and senses, no living being can come to know you. When the glory of your nature reveals itself to reason, it overwhelms both reason and soul. Let reason have its dignity in the rank where faithful Gabriel stands. Yet before your majesty, even Gabriel becomes less than a sparrow due to awe. When reason stands there, it bows its head. When the soul reaches there, it folds its wings. The novice discusses the eternal only through shallow senses and a wicked soul. How can your nature, on the journey to the majesty and glory of your essence, hope to truly understand you? You are one, and numbers do not apply to you. You are absolute, and dependence is far from you. Not the one that reason and understanding can fathom, nor the absolute that senses and imagination can grasp. You are not a multitude, nor are you few. One multiplied by one remains one. In duality there is only confusion and error. In singularity there is never any fault. While multitudes and confusion persist in your heart, saying one or two does not matter, for both are the same. You, the devil's pasture, know for certain what, how much, why, and how. Beware. Your greatness is not due to multitude. Your essence transcends number and quality. Weak searchers may not ask, is it or who concerning you? No one has uttered the attributes of the Creator, you, quantity, quality, why, or what, who, and where. Your power is your hand, your eternity is your face. To come is your wisdom, the descent is your gift. Your 2 feet are the majesty of vengeance and dignity. Your 2 fingers are the effective power of your command and will. All existences are subject to your omnipotence. All are present with you, all seek you. The motion of light moves toward the light. How can light be separated from the sun? When compared to your existence, eternity only began the day before yesterday. It appeared at dawn but arrived late. How can your work be confined by eternity? Eternity without a beginning is like a house-born slave of yours. And do not think that eternity without end is greater, for it is like eternity without beginning. How can you have a place larger or smaller in size? Place itself has no place. How can there be a place for the Creator of place, a heaven for the Maker of heaven? Place cannot contain you, nor can time. Narration cannot inform about you, nor can observation. Place is not the source of your stability. Your essence has no place of residence. You, who are confined neither by place nor time, how can you be limited by how and why?
As we come to the end of our journey through the mystical verses of Sanai, I hope you've found inspiration and wisdom to enrich your own spiritual quest. Sanai's timeless wisdom has the power to illuminate our understanding of the divine and lead us toward the path of serenity and purity. If you've resonated with the teachings shared today, we invite you to continue exploring this profound realm of spirituality with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what resonated with you. Together we can uncover the mysteries of the divine and delve deeper into the heart of spirituality. Remember, your journey has only just begun. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, may your path be guided by the light of wisdom and your heart filled with the serenity of the divine.